This year, I turned 35. I've officially been in the iron game for 21 years. And over that time, a lot has changed. When I was in my teens, it was simply lift heavy, eat your protein, get your calories in, and repeat. And doing just that, I grew like a weed. In my 20s, it was all about finding creative ways to maximize my approach, make my diet and my training more efficient to fit into my lifestyle, and also seeking out more and more progress into the advanced stages. Now, in my mid-30s, it's about doing all that stuff and still making progress sustainable, as I don't have all the advantages I did as a kid growing up, when I had no stress, no responsibility, and a completely open schedule to train and eat whenever I wanted to. And this year alone, I've made some big changes to my lifestyle, all in order to create a better environment for my training progress in the gym. But before we get into it, I'm not going to tell you about some new fancy supplement or some trendy workout in the gym. I'm going to talk to you guys about the basics that too many guys overlook. First thing I'm going to be talking about is sleep. Yeah, sleep. I'm going to talk about how I optimize my rest to supercharge my recovery and to help push my progress to the next level. And I'm going to be talking about auto-regulating my training days and my rest days each week. So if you're serious about packing on muscle and maximizing your recovery in the gym, pay attention here. This is the stuff that they won't talk about on social media because it's not flashy, but it is making all the difference in my training and my recovery currently. So let's dive in. The first thing that you always need to focus on, if your goal is to build muscle and burn fat, is maximizing your recovery. That can be done through adjusting your training volume and your training intensity, which I'm going to touch on later in this video. It could be from lowering your stress levels or improving your diet, and there's a whole list of other things you could do to improve it. But if you want one thing that you really should focus on, that's going to be a game changer in improving your recovery, nothing will improve your recovery more than focusing on improving your sleep. When it comes to sleep, it's not just about hours. It's about quality, consistency, keeping your natural circadian rhythm, and going through each stage of sleep. I had always made it a priority to sleep 7 to 8 hours per night. And although I was consistently getting those hours in, the last few years, I'd go to bed at different times during the night and then wake up at different times each day. That could be going to bed at 10 p.m. one night and then after midnight the next. And some nights I'd fall asleep as early as 9 p.m. because I was so exhausted. But due to the fact that I run my own business, and for the most part I make my own schedule, I'd usually always adjust the time that I wake up to 7 to 8 hours after I went to sleep that night. But even though I was getting those 7 to 8 hours in every single night doing this, I just wasn't feeling as refreshed after a full night's sleep as I used to. This is due to the simple fact that I was consistently throwing my body's natural circadian rhythm off. The bottom line here is if you want to get the most out of your recovery and get the most out of your sleep, don't just focus on time. First, go to bed the same time every single night, wake up the same time every single morning. A bad night's sleep, even when the hours are there, could literally be the difference between a productive training session and one that I'm unable to perform even at my baseline. If your sleep quality is off, it can absolutely have a negative impact on your strength, your performance, and even your body's ability to burn fat and build muscle, even if everything else is on point. So don't sleep on getting a good night's sleep. Personally, I chalked up the not so great sleep quality these last few years just to my age. I know I'm not old, but I'm not in my 20s anymore either. So I don't expect to be able to sleep 4 to 6 hours per night like I used to, and then get up the next day and hit a PR. But like anything else I do, I wanted to try and get the most out of my sleep quality to improve my performance, since getting a good night's sleep is one of the biggest levers you could pull for improving your recovery. So it's definitely one of the first things you should always address if looking to maximize that recovery. So that has been a goal of mine to improve this year. And let me tell you, with a few changes that I've made, I've been able to see a dramatic improvement. First thing I did, like I mentioned, was forcing myself to go to bed at the exact same time every night, get up at the exact same time every morning, even on the weekends. Traditionally on the weekends, I'd let myself sleep maybe an extra hour or so. But when I did that, I never felt extra rested. If anything, it actually took me longer to get out of bed those days. This year, every single night, I've been in bed by 10 and gotten up at 7. Second thing I did, I completely stopped working after dinner time. I've always just been a round-the-clock worker. While most people jump at the first chance they get to watch Netflix or do something fun in their free time, my somewhat obsessive personality towards working, training, or doing something productive, that always has me jumping on the next opportunity to grab my laptop and get some work done whenever I have a few minutes. And while that might sound like I'm doing the most productive thing I can do during those times, and how all the social media gurus will tell you how you should always work, never rest, never play, never watch Netflix, the fact is, that type of behavior can definitely be counterproductive in so many ways if you overdo it. And in my case, being super mentally stimulated at nighttime before bed, that was definitely having a negative impact on my sleep quality. And as a result, it was actually throwing off my productivity and my performance next day at work and in the gym. And the truth is, actually unwinding after dinner, unplugging, spending time with the family, and winding down before bed will always lead to a better night's sleep for me. And as a result, my performance will increase the next day in everything I do. And while in the short term, it's going to feel like I'm stopping myself from working by doing that, in the long term, I'm actually getting more work done. I'm also making more progress and getting better results, all by focusing on sleep first above everything else. The third thing I did is a big one. I got rid of my old mattress that just wasn't serving me anymore. The funny thing is that during this process of focusing on improving my sleep quality, my good friends over at Mattress actually hooked me up with one of the best birthday presents I've gotten in recent years. For my 35th birthday, they sent me a mattress that was made specifically for my needs. Now, I've been focusing on improving my sleep this entire year so far, using all the other methods I've mentioned so far, and it's definitely been an improvement. But this new mattress is the newest addition to that. I've had this thing for a few weeks already, and let me tell you, my sleep quality and my overall recovery is a night and day difference, even on top of what I've already been doing that's already been helping. I was so interested in seeing how I can improve my sleep quality that I first wanted to check my sleep performance on my old mattress and now on the new one. I was previously tracking my sleep quality through apps and other devices that track your sleep quality. The main thing I noticed previously, again, while I was sleeping 7 to 8 hours per night, was just how many times I turned over and moved during the night. It's funny, I would actually wake up every morning with the sheets off my bed. I tossed and turned so many times over the night that my sheets actually popped off my bed every morning. Now, what I notice now since sleeping on the new mattress, the same amount of hours in bed now, but the time I've actually spent sleeping has gone up dramatically. I'm a back sleeper, but again, I traditionally tossed and turned so many times during the night. Now I'm literally going to bed in one position and waking up in that same spot in the morning. The sleep trackers are reflecting a reduction in my tossing and turning every night, and since I've been on the new mattress, I have not ripped off the sheets once. But don't take my word for it. Bear recently surveyed over 300 customers. 82% saw improved sleep quality. That's why 95% of those customers recommend the mattress to a friend. Before I got my Bear mattress, I took their quiz. As a back sleeper who likes a firm mattress, they matched me with the Bear Elite Hybrid. Like I mentioned, it's been perfect for my needs. The best part for me is, not only do I fall asleep super fast on this thing, but I actually wake up feeling rejuvenated. In addition, I'm sleeping much cooler throughout the night. I asked them to specifically send me a mattress to help keep my body temperature cool, as I'm always hot when I sleep. And that's definitely been a huge improvement since sleeping on my new mattress, thanks to Bear's sleep recovery technology. It uses celium-powered fabric to help keep you cool. What makes them even more great, Bear mattresses are made without harmful chemicals and they're fiberglass free. So you can rest easy knowing you're not exposing yourself to some nasty stuff.
Nice.
Now normally, I would be hesitant about buying a mattress online. I mean, who wouldn't? But Bear actually offers free shipping in the US and a 120-night sleep trial. That's over 3 months to make sure you love the mattress. When I got mine, I actually moved my old mattress into a spare bedroom in my house, thinking I'd give this mattress a try for a few weeks and see if I like it before getting rid of the old one. But after a few days on the new Bear mattress, I moved the old one out of the house as there was no comparison. So if you're ready to level up your sleep game and potentially see more gains in the gym, head on over to bearmattress.com/PeterK. Use my code PeterK. That'll get you an additional 40% off your Bear mattress, plus $400 in sleep accessories. This is an exclusive offer for my viewers. Remember, better sleep means better gains. Trust me, don't neglect your sleep quality. I personally don't ever endorse a product or a service that I don't personally use or stand behind. And honestly, I'd just be gatekeeping if I didn't recommend this to you, especially if you're in the market for a new mattress or looking to level up your sleep game. Bottom line, if you're not already, get your sleep in check. No excuses. The next major overhaul that I did to my training and my recovery is on the training side of things. While I've always been super rigid with my training days in the past, and while a structured plan is absolutely the foundation to making progress, there's also a time and place to allow for some adjustments on the fly, if they're not made based on emotions, but rather based on facts. Doing so can allow you to make more progress long term. Let me give you an example. Currently, I train 4 days per week. I take Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays off. I train on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. This helps me get more work done on the busy days of the week when I work the most, by using that time that I would normally train and dedicating it to more work. And it also places the hardest training days and days during the week when I have more rest, like the weekends. However, being that I have 4 training days and 3 rest days, I can be a bit flexible if needed as to which days I do take those rest days, if needed. Well, if you asked me this years ago, in my teens, or even in my 20s, if Thursday rolls around and it's a push session, it doesn't matter if I slept 4 hours that night. Doesn't matter if I had a lot of stress going on. Maybe even my body felt beat up and achy. I'd still be in the gym for push on Thursday. Now, today, even if I had 1 or 2 of those things going on, I'd make a very solid argument for actually skipping that training session on Thursday and pushing it back to Friday. Essentially, I'm not skipping that workout, but I'm actually taking that rest day a day early when I need it, recovering, and then hitting that workout the next day, which was a planned day off. This way, I could actually train when my body is fresh and recovered, and I could actually get a solid training session in, rather than trying to force it in on Thursday, just because that's what the calendar says. Now, it's important to note that this type of training flexibility is not to be used based on emotion. If you're simply not in the mood to train, and you'd rather sit on the couch, play video games, watch Netflix, it's not a reason to auto-regulate your training schedule. That's an excuse, and if you do this, it will bleed into everything else you do. People who do this often also neglect their diet, they take cheat days that are unplanned, they skip training sessions when they feel like it. They do this all based on emotion. If that's you, sticking to a rigid plan will pay off in the long run. However, if you're really in tune with your body and you've been training a long time, like I said, I've been doing this for 21 years, you're gonna know on the days that it's just not productive to go in the gym and beat up your body even more. And your body will thank you for adjusting based on what's needed. Now, for context, this doesn't even happen very often for myself. And again, I only do this as needed. I'd say this happens on average maybe once per month. And that might not sound like much, but one poor training session each month, that adds up to about 12 sessions per year. Or in my case, since I'm training 4 days per week, that's actually 3 whole weeks of training throughout the year. So allowing some flexibility as to when I take rest days, that's allowed me to stack more and more productive training sessions on top of each other throughout the year. Now remember, I'm not in the gym just trying to train hard or just to get a pump. I'm in the gym to make progress. And going into a session that I'm not prepared for, it's not gonna be one where I make progress. But if this sounds like something that you can use, but you also don't trust yourself as to when to actually use auto-regulation in your training, you can use some fitness tracking devices that will allow you to gauge your recovery based on your sleep that night. But personally, I don't like this method, and I don't use it myself. When I've done this, there have been plenty of days where I feel mentally great, I feel physically prepared, but the app actually just tells me that I'm not recovered. Now, not only will listening to this app potentially cost me a session that could have been a productive one, but it also can put me in a negative headspace. I'm going into that session assuming that I'm not recovered. Now I'm second guessing myself. If you want a more factual way to do this, however, a great device to use is a simple grip test device. You can get these things really cheap on Amazon, and all you have to do is simply test your grip strength every morning. If you're under recovered that day, your grip strength will reflect that. But again, I don't use any of these. If my body is beat up and I feel that my training session will be off that day, I don't need a device to tell me that. When you've truly connected with your body during your pursuit of building more muscle, you're gonna be so in tune with your body's needs. You'll know when it's time to rest. But if you're not at that level yet, don't worry. It takes years and decades to get to this level. And it's something that I couldn't objectively do in my teens or even in my 20s. But it is something to strive for long term. And if you balance your recovery and your training, and you're truly maximizing your recovery ability through sleep, adjusting your training volume, your intensity, your frequency, and your rest days, that's how you get to the elite levels of this game. And if you want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.